All right, welcome to the Rochester Real Estate Show. My name is Tom Fox. I'm with the Anthony Butera Team, and I'd like to introduce my very, very special guest, who is actually the real host of this show, Jason Mancuso, the CEO of the Anthony Butera Team. Jason,
Switched it up today. I like
yeah,
it. I'm
we're
gonna let you
switching it
do
up
this from
today.
now on. That's good.
Yeah.
What's the topic then, host? What do we got?
So the topic today, Jason.
How are you, by the way?
I'm doing good.
Sorry.
I'm doing good. No,
What's the
I
topic?
appreciate the
Give the people what they want.
Well, I don't know if we're going to give them what they want, but we're going to do
It's
our
true.
best to try to educate them. So, what I thought we would do today is, and the reason why I like to interview you is because I know you're doing lots of coaching on this particular topic, right? And when we sat in the office last week, I'm like, hey, you know what? Everyone's asking me whether I go to the gym or I'm at church or I'm in a grocery store. Anytime you meet somebody who knows you that you're a real estate agent, it's what's going on with my assessments, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, I want to talk about assessments today because it's on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And if you're in the city, if you're in the suburbs, you're in Hilton, you're in Greece, you're in Penfield, everything's going up,
Yeah.
including my own.
Yep.
So I thought it would be a good idea for us to kind of let's help people understand what they're able to do. What does it mean to them? What does it mean to them now? What does it mean to them 3 years from now? So that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, hot button topic. We're doing it again. We did it with Shane Allen maybe a couple months ago because the city reassessed every property, right?
That I remember.
So then
That was a big deal.
Hilton got it, right?
Yep.
The most recent was town of Ogden, so it's Spencerport area. So it's happening, right? So it's the consumer, homeowners need to know. If you're not a homeowner and you're looking to buy, you need to know about this.
Yep.
It's tricky, but it's straightforward, right? So it's just at the end of the day, like property taxes are a thing. Death and taxes, right? So if you're going to own property, you're going to have property taxes to pay.
Yep.
Assessments fuel what you will be paying, essentially.
Yep.
So when they're coming out with changes to that, it's good for us as real estate professionals to help the consumer understand what the changes are, how to go about them. So fire away.
That's a great lead in. So listen, I'm not as good of a host as you are, and I have to actually read my questions because I know you memorize them. So I'm just gonna, it just shows my inexperience as the host of the show.
AKA you actually prepared for that.
I actually prepared for this. Exactly right.
Okay.
All right. So here's my first question, and these are questions, by the way, everyone, that I've gotten from people. Like I said, at the gym or it's at church or it's a grocery store, wherever I'm at. These are the questions I'm getting. All right. So what is happening? And what can the homeowner expect in the months to come and maybe the years to come? So what's happening now? Okay. And how does that play out for the homeowner 3 months from now, 8 months from now, a year from now?
Okay. So, in these areas that we've mentioned, right? So like just take some examples of city of Rochester it happened to. We mentioned Hilton, we mentioned Spencerport. I should be more specific in terms of town of Ogden covers Spencerport Village, right?
Yep.
So most recent one was town of Ogden. Went through, everybody gets a letter in their mail, grumblings about it, you hear about it, and then you get the letter or vice versa, but you get a letter in the mail, you've been reassessed for this amount. And especially this latest example with town of Ogden, it was significant amounts.
So
big time. And you personally can speak to this. But yeah, big time amounts, big time increases. So what is happening is that again, property taxes are based partly on what your property is assessed for. Okay. So now keep in mind, assessments are different than appraisals.
Yes, they are.
An appraisal is what a bank will conduct in order to determine that the value of your home is justified for what you're under contract to buy it for in a real estate transaction. You can also just hire an appraiser at any time if you want to know what the market value of your home would be. Assessments.
We can help you too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
We're just not formal appraisers.
Sure.
Right.
That's correct. Yep.
So assessments operate similarly, but differently in that they don't just automatically update all the time along with the change in market value to your home. So there's often, could be every 4 years as an example, municipalities will go through and reassess their tax roll and all the properties on it, especially in times like recent where property values have gone up significantly and, the whole town and all the properties in it are essentially underassessed. So, there's a lot of cases out there where it's like my assessment just doubled. And
I've seen it. I've heard from people recently doubled and tripled.
Yeah, or more, right?
Yeah.
And what that means is that it's either been long enough or value has improved dramatically to where your property is just, you've been lucky in a way, right? Where it's just been underassessed for this long up until now.
Right.
Because we can't run from the fact that, across the country and locally as well, property values increased tremendously in the last
steadily.
Yeah. In the last 3-4 years especially, but even over 5, 6, 7 years, we've gone from what is typical just small, very small percentage increase in home value year over year to dramatic, to where, in theory, it's more than feasible that your home has doubled in value in a decade, right? If you've owned it that long. So then, therefore, the town, municipalities recognize this as an opportunity to make sure that their tax rolls are accurate and that everybody's paying their fair portion of property tax.
Okay. So prices are going up around us, the home values are going up, assessments are going up. What does it mean for the homeowner in terms of, because I'm just going to say it because everyone's thinking about what does it mean for my taxes?
Yeah.
When does it affect me? How does it affect me? How long does it take to affect me? Is it immediate?
That's the wild card. Okay. So keep in mind property taxes.
Right.
Okay. Are based on a budget. Okay. Yep. So any municipality has to have a budget approved by the people, right? These are things that are voted on, or your elected officials are determining.
Yep.
And again, voting. But when the town, so towns need money, school districts need money to operate. Mm-hmm. And, we could talk about New York being a high tax state. And on one end, sure, that stinks. On the other end, when you really look at things, you pay for what you get, right? And we have a lot of great services or it costs a lot of money to run, a town.
Yeah, right.
Like, just think of it this way.
Yeah, right.
Snow plow, salt, like that costs more here than it does in Texas.
Listen,
or it's just not existent, right?
I'll stop you there. I've had friends of mine live in different parts of the country, and what happens a lot is they're like, "Hey, listen, we know that the taxes are terrible in New York. However, we have certain things. Every state has a way of getting it in their own particular way.
Right, exactly.
Ours is the taxes, right?
And whether it's a zero-sum game with that said, we don't need to get into politics or like this or that, right? But at the end of the day, budgets are set to run the town, and budgets are then funded through property taxes of the properties that are located in that area.
Right.
So I'm rambling, but what happens is that now the reassessment is made, and what your taxes are based off of moving forward, but they're based off of the budget. So this isn't a play to where it's just like, hey, you're going to get reassessed, and now the town's just pocketing all the money, and the supervisor and the elected officials get raises. Again, not going to get into politics and stuff like that, but that happens. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. But budgets are there. There's a legal process to it to where it's not like that just this reassessment leads to, a double, if you got double, your assessment went up 2 times, right? Went up double. That's not like, the money paid for property taxes to go towards the budget just leads to that surplus of double the budget. Mm-hmm. And they just keep pocketing it forever and forever. Mm-hmm. Okay. So budgets are set. The taxes are then based to fulfill the budget. Sure, they have some surplus so that they're not running a deficit, but also keep in mind, yes, it's expensive to run these towns. And, the other side of it, if you want to make the argument of, okay, maybe we do have some poorly run areas or the state in general that,
Yeah.
budgets aren't always great to what they should be.
Right.
No matter what, we need to fulfill the budget in order to operate, in order to live through property taxes. So what they're saying is, hey, when the next budget or the budget that we have, your taxes, the taxes that are going to fund that budget are based off of this assessment. So immediately what happens is they play to the budget that's currently intact for this year. So you got this letter this year.
Yep. So this year you got the letter, assessment went up X amount of dollars.
Right.
And then next time they do the budget.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's going to depend on, if that budget went up or down as to, essentially how much your taxes go up or down from there.
So I think that's interesting you say that, because I don't think a lot of people understand. They just think, okay, my assessment went up, I'm going to get taxed, it's going to go up X amount of dollars per month, and this is going to crush me. But really, it's based on whatever the budgetary needs of the particular town is.
Yeah.
That can determine how high or how it affects the new assessment.
Right. Because you have
Okay.
a tax rate.
That's good to know.
You have
Okay.
a tax rate to fulfill the budget.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the tax rate is applied to the new assessment.
So
And what happens in the reassessments is
Right.
that typically the rate goes down even though your assessment went up. Right.
Okay.
So can you speak to, did they release for Parma? Not to bring in your personal business into this, but did they tell you what your tax rate is or how much your taxes are going up as a result of this reassessment?
No, not yet.
Okay. So, for example, in the city, they presented it where, hey, your assessment went up by this and your taxes went up by this. And it's not like a proportionate, my taxes or my assessment doubled and my taxes doubled as a result right now.
Right.
Today.
And that's the important piece. Not right now. It's going to be something that will probably go up in the future at some point, you would think, but not maybe right this second.
Right. This is we're doing this live and we got a vacuum cleaner above us.
So this is just for the audience here. This is Friday afternoon, right? So it sounds like if you hear a humming, that's somebody vacuuming upstairs. At least we know the office is going to be clean.
Yeah, right.
We appreciate your services. It's not right this second.
So we'll get through it. Should we pause or? We'll keep going.
Okay.
It's not live, but it's live, folks.
Right.
So does that make sense? I know I ramble.
I think it makes sense. I think what we're saying here is it's really based on the budget, and when that budget happens next, if there's enough money in the budget, and when your assessment goes up, most likely it's going to go. Your taxes will most likely go up because the budget generally.
Budgets don't go down. That's the thing. Budgets aren't going down.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, the same problems that we all talk about personal to ourselves, towns experience as well. Inflation, rising costs, labor is more expensive. Yep. This all leads to budgets going up consistently. So I don't want to sit here and seem like I just painted a picture of rainbows and butterflies and don't worry about your increased tax assessment.
No.
But maybe it's not as bad as you would think in terms of just a double up effect.
Okay.
Now, your taxes are going to go up in terms of your annual what's due. It will go up over time.
Okay. That's good to know. Like I said, I mean, this is important to people because with the different things that are happening in our our cities and our towns and across America with inflation and so on. I mean, people are just struggling, and this is why this is such an important topic for most people because they're like, hey, listen, I'm paycheck to paycheck as it is, and now if this thing goes up 100, 200,
same thing. Yeah, listen. I mean, they gotta vacuum the doctor's office above us on their own time versus hiring a cleaning company to do it in the middle of the day, right? So here we are.
All right. So that I hope that answered your questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know, like I said, from the people I've talked to, that was very, very important to them to hear that portion.
Right.
What can a real estate agent do? Because they're coming to me, or they're coming to you, or they're coming to people in our office and say, hey, listen. What can a real estate do to help someone who has an assessment that's gone up and maybe, just maybe, you don't agree with that assessment?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, the first, even before that, it's what should you do as a homeowner, right?
Okay.
And contact a real estate agent.
Okay.
Okay. So this is not, listen, the good agents, we know, we're here to help. We know you're not trying to sell your house. selfishly, if it leads to that and we're able to help you along the way, great. But we're here to offer this service for you to help you evaluate, was this fair or not?
Now, how do we help them with value?
Yeah.
No, I know this, but I want to ask him.
Yeah, I get it. So, I mean, it's a matter of like what you should be thinking about as a homeowner is like, okay, wow, this stinks. You just whacked me. I don't agree with this. It's one thing to just like, get all mad and say that and pound your fists at the air and do nothing and just, complain about it. It's another to contact a professional to get a professional opinion to determine whether it's fair or not. Okay. Real estate agent is going to act as an appraiser or the assessor at that point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It is not without that professional designation. We have our own license that gives us a professional designation to do ssimilar activities in the sense that we can evaluate your home relative to today's market value, which is ultimately what, the new assessment is trying to do as well. Right. So we would, we would want to know what it is. Okay, what happened? Like right off the cuff, we'd be able to tell you like, look at, just sold a house down the street or just, sold one last year. And it's like, hey, if anything, like, that's more than fair. Like, be happy with it. I'm sorry this happened, but
so Jason,
death and taxes, this is life, right?
I'll give you an example. When ours came,
I
looked at my wife and said, you know what? I said, man, we don't got a shot to fight this.
Yeah.
Because I know what houses are selling for in our neighborhood. And, like I said, it's a nice neighborhood. And it's one of those things where I was like, I know what they're selling for. So, she goes, can we do anything about this? She was upset. I'm like, not really.
I'm not going to say where I live, but we got reassessed recently, and I was like, perfect, great,
right, exactly.
And like to the point, this is like tinfoil hat, but like anytime my wife wants to complain or anybody in the neighborhood wants to complain about them not salting the roads or whatever, this or that, the town's responsibility. And don't get the town snooping around here.
Yeah, keep
them out. Keep them out of there. So sometimes it plays not to boast and be the lucky one, but this happens, and a lot of times the answer is going to be like, look at, it is what it is. You're not gonna I can't give you a case to present to try to fight this.
So in other words, a real estate agent is going to go either online or to your house, or depending on what they decide to do to try to help you. Then pull comps within the area, just like you're doing like a listing presentation pretty much, right? And they're going to look at your assessment and help you understand based on what other things you're selling for in the area to let you know that. So that's basically what happens.
We're going to treat it like we're going to treat it like we are, helping you in order to evaluate your home, in order to sell your home, because that's ultimately the point. Is what's the market value of my home?
What's the market value?
So we do our thing like we would do with any other house. Or any other opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
So that's what we would
looking at the data. We're looking at what your home is. Is it in line with the data? Because if all the data is like 10 out of 10 homes, say you got reassessed for 350,
right?
Okay, and all the homes that we can find that are selling near 350 are all mint, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're telling me, or I know your home is not, and far near it. Okay, this could be our argument. Maybe this home would only sell for 275 on the open market and not 350. And here's the data to support that, because here's 4 homes that have sold recently that are similar to the condition of your home in the same area, similar size, features, etc. Yeah. And then you can present that.
So I think, okay. So I appreciate that. And like I said, I just want to make sure that everybody has a good understanding of how we can help, because I think that's how we can help. We can talk it through, go through the comps with them, help them, at least understand whether you're in line or not in line, or, hey, so let's say your thing went up $150,000. You're like, okay, well, you know what? I think we might be able to knock a little off of that based on some of the comps that we're seeing. So that's what us real estate agents are able to do to help. Right?
And the benefit to approaching us is, and if you have a relationship with an appraiser, I don't want to speak for them, but I don't think an appraiser is going to do a formal appraisal on your property for free. Okay. And, sorry to the other agents that are our peers that have thoughts otherwise, but like, we're here to help. Like we want to help you when it matters ultimately, right? To seek the financial gain on our end up until that point to where you're buying or selling. Like this is the pro bono work that we do that we're totally fine with. And again, like we're not going to charge for it. If some agents do, good for them. But like it's fine for us to take a look at things, be able to help you, talk to you. Like it's what we do, right? So this is just another.
I feel like it's my opportunity to thank them again. At least a lot of the people who are calling me those are people who I've worked with in the past. So I'm like, all right, this is my opportunity to help them in a situation, of a house that we bought. So if I can be helpful to them and just strengthen that relationship and let them know that I'm there for them, not just to help them when they're in, when they're going to buy or sell something, but I just want to be a good person and just kind of help them out.
Exactly.
So and I
that's the formula for us, full disclosure, and like it's not that big of a deal for us. We're doing this all day anyway, and a lot of times it's not even it. I mean, don't get me wrong, like we're going to do our homework if we don't know. Right. But if you're approaching an agent in the area that's an expertise or in the area that you live that is an expert, it's a lot of times a quick conversation. And it's like, this seems really high. And let me, hey, here's the process, which I'm sure you're going to ask about. And, I'll give you the data to help with that process. Or, hey, like, so I don't even need to look at anything and be happy with that number and just be quiet.
Let me ask you this.
Right.
So there's always that homeowner out there who just, they know everything, right?
Sure.
And, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't need anybody else. I can take care of it myself. So for that homeowner that says, hey, I'll use, I got the data. I'll use Redfin, Realtor, Zillow, Home Finder, whatever the case may be, to use that data. How good is that data to be able to help the person who doesn't have access to the data that we have, which is the MLS, real listings, real solds, and being able to go back years, in advance. My question to you is how good is that piece for the homeowner who wants to do this on their own?
Two things. Like if you go into it just using their estimates that they provide on those sites, is that what you're talking about? Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. It's not a great argument to present because, this process is going to involve specifics in order to win or to have a case.
I asked you that because I wanted to hear that from you. I know the answer to that only because whenever I go on listing appointments,
sure.
I told you, my thing. I always read people what those say. Why? Because that's what they have access to. Yeah. So they feel they're part of the process. Mm-hmm. So I just want, the homeowners out there to realize that those are based on algorithms in the area. And you can have a $500,000 house, a $200,000 house, $300,000, and they just medium average them together. So you're not getting the preciseness that you need. So, I just want people to hear that those things aren't going to help you. They could give you a little idea.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're totally inaccurate 100% of the time and not even close.
Right.
Right. Yep. But if you're going down this path of fighting your assessment and you show up with that information, I doubt they're going to listen to you.
So
versus showing up with factual data and examples.
So I'm glad that you said that. It's a great lead into, should you bring a real estate agent with you? And that's the first question. And the second part of that question is, if you don't bring a real estate agent with you, what do you need to bring with you if you plan on fighting your assessment?
All right. So to get to the point where it's to be in person, right?
That's grievance day, which is what, May 20th, I think it is?
Somewhere around there.
I think it's in
it's
called grievance day, right? It's where you're able to go.
Well, there's a process to that. there's forms and applications, so to speak, to submit.
Okay.
That you're providing data up front, right? And then if you get to grievance day where you need to make a formal presentation to answer your question, do you need to bring a real estate agent or not? It's up to you. Because like you need the data I guess it's first and foremost, you need the data. If you bring a real estate agent that doesn't have the data, it doesn't matter. They're not going to work to where it's like, I'm a real estate agent and you're nuts and you're wrong. They're going to laugh at you. Right. So if you have the data and you have a real estate agent with you, to me, if you're not comfortable going at it alone, okay, that's an ask. And this is where it may be, now there may be more consulting fees type of stuff built into it, depending on the agent. Right. Because like at this point, if we're, this much time to get prepared and now we're going in person and on your behalf with you, that sort of thing, depending on who you talk to. Okay.
Yep.
But to answer the question, like, no, you can do this on your own. Okay. Just have the data.
Just have the data.
The point is you can get the data from us. We can help
you. Okay. Gotcha. Let's see. What other questions I have? I think I've asked you all my questions. So let's do this.
Okay.
Let's give a quick summary. Okay. We'll do quick, yes, quick answers. Okay.
Okay.
Eventually, yes or no, taxes are most likely based on budgets are probably going to go up within the next year or two. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So your assessments going up will directly affect you at some point. That's probably a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hard. Yes. Yeah.
I just want to be factual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether the budget increases, it's pretty safe to assume yes.
Now, like I said, like we just talked about the homeowner who wants to do their own data with the Redfin, Realtor, Zillow, Home Finder, we realize that that's probably not in your best interest to take that data, because most likely that's not the best analytical data you could bring towards that process. Agreed? Yes or no?
Just taking those estimates with no other actual examples, yes.
And we're saying, just to sum up this too, that real estate agent doesn't necessarily have to go with you, but at least you should be armed with the right analytical data that's going to help you at least show, whether, you're in line with your assessment or not.
Yes. Ultimately, it's up to each homeowner to decide, if they're going to pursue this fight.
Right.
And then it's going to be their responsibility to, have the forms filled out, get themselves to grievance day, et cetera. Like, if you choose to have, somebody by your side to do that, great. But if that somebody by your side is just helping you get prepared for it, great.
And what is if you had any advice on this process, if you were to just say, hey, listen, here is Jason Mancuso's advice, from an industry standpoint based on this to help a homeowner, what would your
shameless plug, contact a real estate agent to find out where you stand, no matter what. Like, I wouldn't have a problem if everybody in the town of Ogden, Parma, Rochester, whatever, contacted us and said, hey, is this good or bad? And then, because we can immediately, because we're experts in these areas, right?
Yep.
And anywhere in the surrounding area, Monroe County is our space. If somebody, for example, right, I don't sell a lot of homes in Avon.
Right.
If somebody from Avon called me for just a quick answer, but I got to dig into this. I'm not going to do your life. I'm not going to tell you yes or no just on a whim, right? But contact an expert in that location and get a quick answer to determine how much time you want to spend on this from here. Because here's what the municipalities, the towns are banking on. It's a bunch of overwhelming majority of the people just don't do anything about this, whether they ignore it, whether they don't care, whether they just want to get all mad, but don't end up doing anything, right? And that's a lot of people, right? But then they don't do anything about it, right? So it's just, determine if you should do something about it and if you want to. And if you do, then you take next steps from there.
Well, there you have it. I think, Jason, listen, I appreciate you letting me interview you.
Yeah.
And, for everybody out there right now, I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of questions and like I said, I've gotten, so I thought it was very important for us to do this question and answer type situation, because like I said, when it's hitting people's pockets on a time where people's pockets are being hit in many other different directions, it's important to have the answers and what can we do. And I guess the simple thing is, guys, contact a real estate agent. If you do need any help with anything, we're more than happy to dig into your personal assessment to see how we can be helpful to you. Can't say we're going to help you, but we can at least help you understand where you stand with that particular assessment. I guess that's the best way to go about it, right?
Beautifully said.
All right. So everyone, y'all have a great weekend. And thank you for our fearless leader, Jason Mancuso, CEO of the Anthony Butera Team.
Good job, Tom.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Rochester Real Estate Show. Check us out, AnthonyButeraTeam.com. See you in the next one.
All right.